My motivation in creating this tour regarding the roles and the experiences of women came whenever I was giving a tour to a group of Girl Scouts, and I was taking them into the fort and I was showing them what the archaeologists had found, and I was focusing on that early fort period, 1607 to 1610 time frame. But this tour forever changed me because in the back of my mind I had this nagging question asking me, why should they care? Why should these very young and beautiful and smart girls care about a bunch of old dead guys? And part of what we learn in the NIAD program is to how to present history to the public and how do we increase, museum attendance. And you do that by making things relevant. So the question became, what was relevant to these girls' lives that I was talking about in the past? And that is what inspired me to create this tour on the women of Jamestowne. One of the cases I talked about was the ravishment of 4 young girls, and the young man who was found guilty was executed right here in Jamestowne. We are standing on the grounds of where this young man was found guilty. But what was so interesting about that case is of those 4 little girls, 2 of them were whipped for anything that was deemed their fault in the crime. And it's because, as I researched further into it, I conclude that it's a questioning if whether or not those young girls consented. They're roughly 7 and 10 years old, and that is a debatable age range at this point in time in England. Cicely Jordan arrived here in historic Jamestowne when she was roughly 9 or 10 years old, and in 1623 she was widowed for the 2nd time. And the reason this woman really winds up in the court records so much is because the Reverend took Cicely to court and sued her for apparently breaching a marriage contract. Not only did he claim she breached it, but she went and got engaged to a Mr. William Farrar and began to live with him outside of wedlock on Jordan's journey. A year after that case, a law was made here in Jamestowne concerning bigamy. And in that law, they state that certain women in Jamestowne had set a poor example to others by contracting themselves into more than one marriage contract with other men. And you know exactly who they're talking about. They are talking about Cicely Jordan. I think what I would want for young Girl Scouts, because many of the things I talked about in my public history tour, a lot of the ideas are, above the age of, young elementary school Girl Scouts. What I would really want them to see is, to say women here in Jamestowne is actually very vague. There, is such a large demographic of women. There may not be many women, but there is a large demographic of women. You have Native women, you have African women, English women, rich women, poor women, single women, married women, young women, mature women, and all of those factors are going to dictate what a woman can and cannot do here in Jamestowne.